Folks, if you're just joining us, we have a serious show tonight, a special edition of the Brent Holland Show. June 26th of last year, 2010, I happened to be in Salt Lake City, and I received the newspaper under the door, of course, as they always do in a hotel room, and I was scrolling down, and I came across some bad news. It said that two more Canadians had died in Kandahar over in Afghanistan. It also said that one of them happened to be a medic, and that's when the alarm bell started going off. And I read further, and it said one of them was from Sudbury. And the next name I read was Andrew Miller. When we first came to Sudbury, I'm living in Kingston now. I've only been here since December. When we first came to Sudbury 3 years ago, we had no friends. One of the first friends we met was Wendy Miller, and Wendy Miller is the mom of Canadian Forces Specialist Andrew Miller, and that's what we're going to be talking about today.
It was weird. It's just like the movies. They actually came to the house first, and I wish my husband was here to share with you his experience on that, but he's working right now. And my husband walked in first, and I thought that was strange. You know, he's at my work Saturday, and he said to me, Andrew's been killed. And I just kind of, I didn't say anything. I just kind of, no, that's not true. I shook my head, and I'm often called the matriarch of the family. I is what the military calls me. I didn't cry right away. I just kind of no, you're lying. But why would my husband be there? And then all of a sudden, the Padre came in and the notifier came in, who I felt so terrible. I was consoling him because this man had to come and tell me that my son was dead. And I had waited, you know, when we went to Petawawa on May 15th, because this week was the week Andrew was home. This is my last Mother's Day with Andrew. This was my time when I had my private talk with Andrew about what if and what to do. And
we'll come back to that soon, but I want to hear more about how the military handled this sensitive situation.
He was crying. The notifier was crying very hard. And I grabbed his face and I said, "This is a terrible day for you." And he said, "No, this is a terrible day for you, Miss Miller." And he went into the spiel about what had happened with Andrew. And I held him and I hugged him very, very tightly. And I said, "I don't hate you." I said, "I'm so sorry you had to tell me this. This is terrible for you." I said, "I am glad it was you. I'm so sorry." I kept apologizing to him, and then the Padre was there. I consoled the Padre. My husband cried and cried and cried.
When did the demons come, Wendy?
At nighttime. There's a certain time at night, and there's a sunrise in the morning. I just want to die. I remember it was -38 outside. This is very touching, but
That's okay. If you need to take a break, it's not a problem.
no, I'm good. -38 outside, and I was planning that day to walk out in the back and sit under a tree and just die. It's just too much sometimes. But then I hear Andrew, "Mom, what about Emma? What about Ray? What about my dad?" So then I stop, but it's, you know, and again, going back to the olden days, you know how some of these women would just throw themselves in the river
Yes.
after they lose their children? I get it now. I'm not going to do that. Like, people are like, "Oh my God, she's going to kill herself." But no, folks, I'm not. But it's absolutely detrimental. You're not supposed to bury your child.
That's right.
And my first question to the therapist, he didn't have an answer. Nobody has an answer for me still. Why is there no word in the dictionary for when a mother loses their child?
What would that word be?
I've been asked that so many times. Detriment, devastating, lonely. There's so many words for it. It's not supposed to happen. I guess that's why there's no word for it. I cried at that point for a bit, but then I called my boss right away because I had kind of warned people Andrew wasn't coming back. And they all looked at me like I had 9 heads. They told me, what are you talking about? My husband got angry because 4 years ago I told my husband Andrew was going to be killed. He was going to die when he was 21, and he thought I was insane. But I just had an intuition that 21 would be the year that Andrew would go. I just didn't know how. And then when Andrew was 17, he joined the military. Obviously, try to be a mom that, your son's pumped to go over to Afghanistan. He wants to be just like his father. That was hard. And everybody criticizes you. They, I had people criticize me as soon as I went. They told me they whisk you away in a car, and you're, from there on, for 6 months, I was military owned, I guess you would say, because you have obligations to do. And I was very proud. My son made me promise that I was to fulfill all those duties and with respect, and to be beautiful, and to be the one that speaks his name, because he worked really hard for what he did, and he wanted people to know that, he wanted to do this. Like, I see all of his pictures of him in Afghanistan. He's smiling. How many guys do that? And it was very difficult explaining to everybody that he wanted to go there. And we came back to the house, and I started calling people on the way home and telling them the final, he's killed. And next thing you know, 2 minutes later, the entire police department, chief of police was here because my husband's a police officer in Sudbury. They were here. Ambulance people were here. Everybody was here. Thank goodness we live on a 30-acre farm, because it helped with the space. And from there, it was. They have a book they follow. I guess you get an assisting officer, and you go from step one, which it's great, because I wouldn't want to be responsible for the logistics of all of this. It's just too big. The whole thing actually is still, and I'm just starting to realize Andrew's not coming home. It's terrible. Today, I was driving to work, and I wear my silver cross the Queen gave me a lot, and because I like people asking about Andrew. And today was bad because, it's my first Mother's Day without him, and he was always the one that. He was the first to wish me Happy Mother's Day, and last Mother's Day he got me my video 9, the movie, and he let me stay in bed. He was here with his fiance, and it was great, like Andrew. That's the part that's terrible, is because Andrew was becoming my friend, and I keep wondering where he is. I keep, like you can feel him in the house sometimes. You can feel him around, his presence, and then. I've only had one dream about him where he was in it, and he said I wasn't allowed to remember the dream. And I asked him why, and he said, because that's just the way it is. And I said, that's not fair. And so he said, okay, I'll let you remember this part. And that's the last I ever dreamt of him. But,
What was the context of that moment? Was it more of feeling than?
Yeah, I was in a sunny spot. I was outside with him. Like you could feel like everything around you. I could feel he was in his uniform. I could feel him. It's like you and I talking right now. Except you wake up and you're in despair. And go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you if you felt that Andrew was in a safe place and he was just coming back to let you know that he's okay.
He hasn't said he's okay yet. I keep waiting for that. I think it's wonderful where he is, obviously, because he's not coming back. That's what, and I used to think, working in a clothing store where you sell suits, you sell them to people that have died, people that are going to funerals, and I used to look at them all the time like, I don't know, I've never lost anybody. This was my first death. So for me to lose my son, it was unreal. And it wasn't a normal death. This is a Canadian death. It wasn't my grandpa's died, or my son was hit by a drunk driver. This was a soldier, a medic to boot, who was going to something that anybody I couldn't even imagine. I would run away. I used to say that to him. What are you doing? Like, why do you like doing that? But he wanted to be infantry for the longest time, but he had bad vision. So, and he liked Band-Aids. That's what he tells everybody. He excelled as a medic. He excelled. Like he was young going in as a soldier, and to hear about him as a professional, that was kind of different, because I didn't know Andrew as a professional. I knew Andrew as my son. Like, I was his mother, and I supported that he wanted to be in the military. I was so proud. I was so proud. Andrew and I had a talk this time last year, and he said, okay, Mom, I don't want you wearing any dark colors. I want you to do your hair like when you were running hotels. I want you to be beautiful. Please don't freak out on TV. Like, don't get crazy. And I'm like, Andrew, I promise I'll do my best for you.
When you spoke to him about that, was that last Mother's Day?
Yeah.
The what if mother? Can you tell us about that conversation?
Andrew used to get up with me early in the morning, and I said, Andrew, have you got everything in order? He's like, yes, Mom, I do. And he goes, can you promise me to take care of Stacy? And I said, yeah. Okay, what do you mean by that? And he says, well, Mom, you get everything. And I said, yeah, okay. And with insurance or whatever,
Stacy is his fiance?
Yes, we had arranged for them to be married in Greece this tour, like on his home-time leave. So, and again, I'm like, she's never going to marry. I just couldn't see Andrew with children. Couldn't see Andrew's future with his children. So I kind of knew this, but she was a wonderful girl, really nice girl. Picked a really good girl. I was really proud of him. And he said to take care of Stacy and take care of Emma, his sister. And I said, okay, what do you want me to do? And he said, I just want you to tell people I'm happy, I'm okay, I was fine, I loved it, I did everything I wanted to. But just don't freak out, Mom. Okay. Like, he just wanted me to not, I think he was afraid I was going to lose it. And because he saw how sad I was when my husband was overseas, how alone I was. But it's a totally different, when you're a mother of a fallen soldier, that's a totally different story altogether. Canada treats you, well, you're third to the Queen when you get your medal. And I didn't know that. I was like, wow, okay, I'll wear it. But and then May 15th, we went to Petawawa, and we put Andrew on the bus, and Andrew couldn't say goodbye to anybody. And my sister was with me, and my sister has been she's been like a mother to me. She was Andrew's second mother. And she said to me after we put Andrew on the bus that day, she goes, he's not coming back. And I said, no. And she said, I got my forever hug from him. And I said, yeah, I saw that. It was, even Andrew's sister, we just knew, we didn't have enough time with him. But Andrew had done everything, compacted everything into 21 years. When you look back at everything, he went to his biological father to tell him what he thought about him, which was kind of interesting.
What did he say?
He said that, Ray's always been my dad. And you made my mom work so hard. My mom had to work so hard. He was very polite. But Andrew said goodbye to everybody. It was weird. It was weird. And even 2 days before he was killed, he was speaking on the phone to my sister in the past tense. She said that he said to her, I've enjoyed my life as a medic. And the phone went dead. So it was weird how he himself knew that he wasn't coming home, because he was injured prior to that incident. And he was supposed to come home, and he said no, he wasn't coming home.
What happened to him that he was injured? I didn't know this part.
Yeah, there was a bombing at the CAF, and I don't know if you remember that back in June when they had rocketed the Kandahar airfield. And
now I do, yes.
Yes. So Andrew was there, and he had shrapnel in his upper thigh, and he had responded and saved 2 other people, and realized that his leg was, it was injured after the fact. He then became a driver of the Bison. So that's how he was driving, because my husband said, oh, he's safe. And I'm like, oh, no. Because he was out in Shwalikot and Panjwai far. He was far, like all these weird names. But he was in areas that people don't even know about before. And you know, he was only killed 15 kilometers from Kandahar airfield, responding to, you know, somebody else's. It was a Starlight incident. Was his call for that. They name every death something, and I thought that was a wonderful name, Starlight incident. He was quick reaction. Quick reaction to a quick reaction is what quick reaction force. So QRF to the QRF is what they do. After Andrew was killed, I have a really hard time talking. My head goes blank.
You're doing great, Wendy.
Oh, thanks.
No problem at all.
Thanks.
And if you ever want to take a break, it's no problem because this thing's taped and.
That's okay. The QRF to the QRF. So he was responding to something, and it was only 15 kilometers from CAF. We spoke the day before, and he was so tired. And you often hear about people when they're about to die, how tired they get. He was very tired. But I knew that he was never going to come home. And that just what killed me. It is killing me, actually.
Did you warn him at all that you had this premonition?
He warned me.
How
because
so?
when we were walking on the trail to the in the back with his dog, he's telling me what to do. And I said, "Is there a number I can call to stop you?" "Yeah, there is, but I'll never give it to you." And being respectful, I said, "Okay, I can't stop him." I couldn't stop him. The boy wanted to go, and his commanding officer said he waited outside of his office for 2 hours at attention to hear the answer that he was going to go, because he was a last minute person. He waited 2 years to go on that rodo. He wanted it because that's the last rodo. He wanted to be on that rodo so bad. People think that they get, "Oh, you have to go." Oh no, you have to qualify. He wanted to go. You know, that was his job, and he had received training from California. He'd done his Wainwright training. He said it was the best training he'd ever received in his entire life. My husband was more guilt-ridden than I was.
How so?
Because he felt that because he wasn't Andrew's biological father, that he imprinted on Andrew, "Well, I'm a soldier, so now Andrew's a soldier. I made Andrew." And I had sent emails to his friends, his coworkers. "Can you please let Ray, Andrew's father, know that Andrew, you know, respected him, loved him, wanted to do this." So it took Ray a long time to, well, he still, every now and then he feels bad. You know, he feels like, "Look what I've done. I met you, I raised your son, and now he's dead." But I don't see that because I always knew Andrew was going to die. I always knew I wasn't going to have him long. He was so special, and I wasn't going to be his mom for a long time at all. So.
Did he know that he was going over there to save lives?
Yeah.
Perhaps that's why he wanted to go so bad?
Oh, he got in a lot of trouble actually when he was there. It was quite funny. One, having a water fight when you're not supposed to. There's a water ban going on. There's a 9-second video on Facebook of Andrew dumping water bottles on people. And he also got in a lot of trouble for treating the Afghan children because they were not war-related wounds. But Andrew had a soft...
Let's talk about that because that's an important aspect that I think Canadians don't realize. Can you tell the folks about that are listening right now?
Well, when you're over there and you're a medic, and unless it's an Afghan person, child, elder, whoever over there, unless they have been hurt by something that's to do with war or anything war related, they cannot treat them, they cannot touch them. So they have to basically die. They come into the hospitals, they come into the FOBs, and they cannot touch them. But a lot of the medics do, because the field medics are out there, so they'll give them medications, or they'll give them some pain relief, or they'll look at them. And there was one child, I think it was a girl, because Andrew imprinted on that person because of Emma, his sister, and he got in a lot of trouble for that. You know, he'd go to the gate and he'd treat the kids, and they didn't like that. But what did he say? "What are you gonna do, send me home?" You know, medics are few and far between, and a lot of people don't realize that when Andrew was over there, you'd have one medic. Sometimes that medic would go from one platoon to the next, and they were bored. They were so tired, But they're a different breed. Again, Andrew's coworkers, all of those medics. I've never met soldiers like that. They're the doc. Everybody loves the doc, right? And people don't realize when, in the movies, even when they yell medic, you're running and you're running to that injury, that bomb, and Andrew would run to these things, and he didn't care. Because I don't understand the first responder thing. My husband's a police officer. He was airborne. I'm like, you jumped out of airplanes and you were in Cyprus. And then you want to go to Afghanistan. And then Andrew, I want to go to Afghanistan. And I'm just the wife and I'm the mom. Like that's, I didn't understand it until I went to.
You piss you off when they say that? Do they piss you off?
Well, yeah, because, I'm here holding the fort down and I'm here holding the worry while those guys are doing their thing. And, what happened was when Andrew was killed, they focused more on the mother, which kind of bothered my husband a bit. And like I said, with my loss, it's not the same as my husband's because, he's a man, I'm a woman. And I said, it's not the same. I don't know your grief. 75% of couples that lose a child break up. This scared the hell out of my husband and I because it's not easy what we're going through. It's been 10 months. We're in therapy all the time, but you have to stand back and you have to be so patient because you're so angry he's gone. But then you hear Andrew in your head, Mom, don't do that. Go.
That anger, does it have a focal point?
I've tried to blame so many things and I can't. I can't even hate the Taliban because they're ignorant in the sense of the followers. I don't like the ones that had, like when Bin Laden was killed the other day, I did my hair and had a shower. I hadn't had a shower in 9 days. I was very happy. When we went on our next of kin visit to Afghanistan and, we're shown everything that a lot of people don't see. We're in the talk. It's a room in which every single representative of the whole airfield, the British are there, the Americans, the Canadians, they're all there. It's cameras everywhere. There's computers. There's the screen, and it's called the 9-liner that you see. That's something happens. 9 lines, like when Andrew was killed. My husband had asked to see the 9-liner because he wanted to know VSA confirmed, vital signs absent, confirmed. He wanted to know which number Andrew was, if he was 149 or 150, and I wanted to know if Andrew was killed instantly. And I'm sitting there in this room, Brent, and all these moms, they're showing where their loved ones were killed in action on this map, and I'm just livid. And I don't want to know where my son was killed. So I'm looking at my husband. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" Well, they have this technology. Why couldn't they see where Andrew was? Why couldn't they see in this well-traveled area? Why was he driving? And later it was explained to me that they bring their own dirt. So they dig up a bomb, they take that dirt away, and they have 3 minutes to do this because the camera span is 3 minutes. And then they bring in the dirt and they put it in there and it looks like they've never been. And they waited and they knew that the bison's the medic, right? They've got the cross on the outside. And what made me mad is they killed a hospital. What made me angry is they didn't kill some colonel. They didn't kill some head guy that plans to wipe everybody out. They killed 2 innocent people that aided the warrior and aided their own people. And that has made me put a couple holes in the wall in the house.
If you ran into those guys right now, what would you do to them?
Well, they don't respect women, first of all, so the reality of it. You know what? It's not worth me ruining my chances for whatever happens after I'm dead. Like, I believe in
Karma?
Yeah, and the karma of Bin Laden getting killed, I was like, I was very patiently calculating that.
What would you say to them? Those guys.
Why a medic? You coward. I would call them cowards, actually. Why a medic? Why a medic? Why a hospital? It's weird as well with all the deaths that have happened, 155 deaths. My experience with the other deaths, Andrew's death was intertwined with Martin Goudreau's death because Andrew was the medic for him. He had sent word home for us to tell the mother he didn't suffer. And it's funny because Martin's driver was another one that was killed. You know, like it's very strange how all these, your lives just kind of intertwine in together, and it was meant to be. And it's like, did I have my husband's deployment because I was preparing for Andrew's death? It made me strong. And because the hardest thing was me going to the airport to go to Trenton because I freaked out in Sudbury Airport. You know how small it is there? I wouldn't get on the airplane. I started screaming. And I swear people thought, oh my God, this woman's like a terrorist or something. But I'm just like, no. And because I thought if I go out that door, that means my son's dead. And even when he was coming on the tarmac in Trenton, I cried more for Crystal than I did for my own son's body going by because I didn't believe he was in the coffin. And the weirdest thing is when I saw him and I put my hands on the coffin, I told him it was okay. I wasn't mad because I felt like he thought I was, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Mom. You know, like I felt like he was upset, and I was like, it's okay. I'm proud of you. You know, I'm so proud of you.
Were you able to view his remains?
No, because they were non-viewable. Oh, that was the other thing Andrew had asked me. He didn't want to be viewed. We were on our walk. If I don't look good, I don't want to be viewed. He didn't want his sister to see that. He didn't want that. He was apparently burnt up pretty bad because the bison had flipped over, I guess, and caught on fire. And it took about an hour before they could go to it. So it took me months to find someone to tell me, because I want to know the facts, Jack. Like, tell me. Right away when I was being whisked away from the store, they told me, you know, specific details. You know, he was killed. What I needed to know was his hatch down. It took me about 4 months to get somebody that was there to tell me that, and they said it was down. So I knew right away. He was blown up. It was like the second wheel from the front. So he would have never felt. It would have just been like a blink. And I spoke to a couple of guys that were blown up and survived. So they explained to me how it feels and what goes on. You don't feel it. It's just a flash. So they said, no. And then the gentleman that actually pulled Andrew's body out, the whole crew, I got to talk to them in February. And they were a wreck. Oh, those poor kids. You know, he said he didn't feel a thing. He said, Wendy, he didn't feel a damn thing. And I said, okay, he caught on fire. He didn't look good. He goes, no, he didn't look very good. I said, okay, that's what I wanted to know. I don't believe in viewing you when you're gone because, you know, you're gone. Like, your spirit is so beautiful. It fills your body. And I'm not religious by any means. Like, we don't, it's not that we don't believe in it. It's just, no one's come back to tell me. I have to have facts.
You pissed off at God?
No, I'm not. It's this big secret, you know, like, why'd you take my son? I get mad at people that are, you know, I had one lady come into the store with her stupid son, and she said I was a killer because I sent my son to war. Yeah, and I'm supposed to remain calm at this? So
how do you deal with a person like that?
Well, I told her, I said, do you know anybody in the military? And she said, no. And well, we don't support the war. I said, well, you know, because of you saying that, you know, I'm at work. I said, excuse me, I'm at work. Because I had Andrew's picture displayed there out of respect, you know, like a nice little 4x7. And people thought it was amazing that I was at work, but I was doing it to keep myself from going insane. People are rude, and they don't support, ignorant, rude, disrespectful to the Canadian soldiers that are still here. And, you know, that's too bad. And or they're telling you how to grieve. That's my favorite. I'm like, well, you know, Andrew hasn't really told me what to do. So why are you telling me what to do? And again, I get very angry at people that haven't even talked to a soldier. There was one woman actually at the viewing, like the wake, even though it was closed casket. She, right comes up to me, don't even know who the hell this woman is. And she's like, well, you know, I don't support the mission. I'm like, well, what the hell are you doing here? I said, oh, okay. So I grabbed her by the arms and I brought her over to the escort that they assigned to the body. And his name was Chris Batley. And I brought her to him. I said, you need to talk to this guy. So by the time she finished talking to him, she was in tears and she apologized. You know, again, I had people saying I was harsh because I was happy Bin Laden was dead.
I was happy he was dead too. Is that a bad
Well,
thing?
he killed my son. He killed my son.
Absolutely. And many
He
other
killed,
sons and daughters
yeah,
as well.
thousands. He blatantly killed thousands of people.
Are Canadians not getting the message, Wendy?
No, no.
What would you say to them? You have that opportunity right now.
Stop forgetting about the fallen and the living. It's only been 10 months. I haven't even lost Andrew for a year, and you've already forgotten him. He was a hero, and you don't even care. You know, they just don't care. Nobody cares. There's a few. You know, I can't socialize with people unless they are military people or people like yourself that support it and love. And the only time I actually felt really comfortable was when we were on our next of kin visit. And I got to talk to the other moms, and they sounded just like me. And I felt such comfort in that. Those words they were saying were just, you know, the one mom was so mad. And then, you know, I told my husband, this pain is so immense. It's a hole here. And it feels like somebody's stepping on your chest, and you have no relief. You're restless. You're sad. You cry every day. Like 10 months, I cry every day, Brent. Every day. Why are you not coming home, Andrew? Where are you? You know, it's hard.
Is it easier to speak to other women about this? Other mothers, as you just said?
Only
Rather,
mothers lost their children. The other women, I be a cat fight, you know, like I toss them to the side. They don't get it. They say the wrong thing.
how so? What did they say that's wrong?
Well, you have another child. And I'm like, oh, so that makes it okay. Or it'll get easier. And then I'm very vocal. You know me. And I bark back. Do you have both of your children? Do you have all your, yes? How would you like your one child to be blown up? And for this 4 seconds, I want you go home now, your kid's not there no more. That's what I live like for the rest of my life. We shouldn't be over there. That's my favorite one. But if we're not over there, those guys are going to come here. And they're here. People don't realize that Taliban are here. Taliban are in Canada. You know, like when my husband went on his mission, I was alone. And I had to make sure that nobody hurt me, because they can do that. They can take you, you know. Just, I don't understand some of these people.
Me either, and maybe perhaps we shouldn't understand because of their ignorance. Maybe a show like this will help educate them
Yeah.
to help understand. Let's hope. Did the government treat you well? Was there anything that they should have done that they didn't?
Oh my goodness, they treated us very well. They're not allowed to have the bisons anymore, to have the medics drive anymore. That was a rule because of Andrew and Crystal.
Can you tell us about that? I wasn't aware of this.
Yes, because of Andrew and Crystal being in a bison and medics being in a bison, they do not allow the medics to drive anymore. They do not allow the bison anymore. You go insane because it's way beyond. Like I even tell my husband every day, this is too big for me. This is too big for me. But the support is there. They make sure that you get an assisting officer that you whenever you're ready, you say go away, and they're gone. You know, and everybody's been just fantastic. It's just you become introverted after. When we were in Afghanistan, and again, Brent, I had to sit there, go and fly to Afghanistan. I don't fly. And we're sitting there, and I'm meeting all these people that have carried my son's body. This one, Ahmed Mirza, first there's an Asian boy in one of the photos, and he's carrying Andrew's coffin. Hugged him so hard. There was a surgeon there that Andrew had partied with and was friends with, and you couldn't show your emotion because these guys are in mission, right? And the whole time that I'm walking through this whole thing with Andrew's death, I couldn't show my emotion. I had to wait for when I was in private, except for when the bagpipes play, the lament, it gets me. I get really upset, cry. And it's very taxing, you know. I'm going through all these photos. This how you grasp at straws. I'm going through all these photos, and I'm walking where he walked. I'm touching where he touched, just to be near him. Everything that he had done, I wanted to do. From when I was back on his base, I sat in a bison. And then I wasn't supposed to tell people, but the CO knows now, but I drove one, so there. You're not allowed to do that, but again, yeah. Like I said, the mother of a fallen soldier has a lot of pull. So,
as well you should have. Did they take you to that exact spot in the road?
They couldn't. They couldn't. They gave us a photo, and again, I wouldn't have wanted to go. I know my husband would have gone, but Andrew's not there. You know, he's not there. I think Andrew didn't even realize he was dead to begin with. It happened so fast because it's funny because the phone in my store rang and the phone at the house rang and nobody was there on the phone. Weird. But I believe in that stuff.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I hear, you know how they say pennies from heaven?
Yes.
Andrew leaves dimes, shiny dimes. And some people didn't believe me about this theory. It was a good friend of mine, another customer, and he phoned me one day and he says, I just found a dime. I didn't believe you, and I just found a dime. It's like your son was going, heh. So I find dimes I probably found close to about 50 dimes. Like, how do you explain that? You know? But he's taken care of me in his death. He really has. He has made me okay.
Does Canada merit your sacrifice and his and all the other fallen soldiers and their families as well?
I don't think so. Not to where they should be. I think it should be raised up a little bit more of a bigger level than what it is, because again, you have your Highway of Heroes, which people get pissed off because you're closing the Don Valley. I'm like, really? That was very emotional for me. I undid all of my windows and I waved to everybody. And it's very heart-wrenching. People in faraway fields, they're saying, I love you, and they're kissing you, and thank you. That was probably the most eeriest feeling ever in my entire life. I thought, okay, I've seen his casket, I'm good. And then they open the gates and there's thousands of people there. And you're just, whoa. You know, because I was a little upset because Crystal's family didn't want the media on the tarmac, and I did, because I'm one of those people that are like, hey, look what my son did for you. Look what my son did for you today.
That's
so
right.
I'm a shouting mom. I'm one of the moms, like.
I like that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of moms that don't do that. They don't. They you know, I've met them, and there's the wives even. You're just, you know, your spouse worked a lot, or your son worked a lot, or your daughter. Holy cow, man! Don't do that. Like, don't go into a cave, cry. It's okay, cry. You know, talk to us, get angry, but this child, this person, you know, this isn't your life. That's their life, and that's why I can't sit there and introvert myself to the military or to the public. Anybody that wants to talk to me, I'll talk to them. It's my favorite subject in the whole world, is talking about Andrew. And he didn't go all that way for it to just be buried in a book in the Peace Tower, you know. That's just the way. Yeah.
I was going to ask you also if the media does enough. Do you feel they do enough?
No, because the G20 summit was going on at the time. That was more important than a fallen soldier. That made me angry.
Me too.
That made me so angry, because Andrew and Crystal's page was just, and you know what was weird, Brent? Maclean's magazine, not one photo of Andrew and Crystal. Not even joking. Not one photo. Really surprised considering it's a Canadian magazine.
Me
Not
too.
one photo. Not one photo.
That's
But
disgusting, actually.
this was a Canadian hero. Different. A little different. That's what gets me mad because people, they don't appreciate these soldiers that are coming back and they're injured. And we had Andrew's hat, his Strider hat, we had a run done for him. There was only 8 originals in the world. And I actually got Andrew's original hat back. I don't know how, a miracle, another miracle. This hat comes back to me, not even on the list from the military. How does that happen? So the gentleman that owns Strider Knives said we could commission another run of hats, and we gave some of the money to the American soldiers because when Andrew died, we gave most of the money. Or I think all of the money went to the military fund because I didn't ask for flowers. I just said give money to them. So that was that. But these, Andrew's had stickers made for him. They're doing a medics tactical scenario coming up in Petawawa because they don't have a lot of that for the medics. I couldn't believe that Andrew's legacy went all the way to China. Like, everybody knew that. And then there's a pendant I wear. The gentleman that does the jewelry for Mickey Rourke and Sylvester Stallone made me the wings and I put Andrew's name on the back. Andrew got a knife commissioned after him. The JTF gave us a sniper rifle with a Leopold scope with his name on it.
Joint Task Force 2, by the way, folks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Our special forces.
Yeah. Just, they're my friends. They're my family. The military, actually. They're the only ones that understand. And when we lost Andrew, we built a big deck outside in our backyard because we have an above ground pool. And I said to the guy, it has the railing. He goes, how would you like the railing? I said, 4 drinks wide. Because, military guys drink all the time. And this deck holds 75 soldiers. Has to. It's that sturdy.
Jeez.
Yeah. And the guy just charged me for the material. That was it. They're supposed to be putting in cobblestone around it and putting Andrew's actual urn in it this year too. So that'll be nice. Yeah, he's buried actually in Sudbury. Half of him is buried. The other half is in the office here in an urn. That they make them so beautiful nowadays. I couldn't bear to put all of them in the ground. I can't let them go. I have to touch them every day.
Yep. What do you say to him when you touch him?
Where are you? How come you're not coming home? How come you left Mommy? And then I hear him. Because I had to, Mom. Sorry.
It's okay. Take your time. And if you want to take a break, it's not a problem.
It's okay. I just want him to come home. But then my husband says to me, he is home. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I say. And I take his hat and I smell it. And then I open his boxes of his clothes. And we're going to make quilts out of his clothes.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, because it's not creepy. Because he can't. I gave his jackets, his leather coats to his friends. A lot of his gear I gave to his friends. And they thought that was great. Some of them got the ashes and little, someone had donated some little mini urns, I guess you call them. So some of his little friends, his little medic buddies what's really funny, Brent? I think that if Andrew, out of the 5 guys that he went over with, that he was tight with, one of them was a father. Because again, I have an intuition on things. And I think Andrew would have sacrificed himself in order for these guys to live. Because there was 3 of them that were hurt out of the 5 in the photo I have. And he was so selfless, this kid. Smart beyond his years. He was...
And in fact, he was going to aid others when he was killed.
Aid to the warrior. Yeah. He was going to help people that weren't even of the army. Like, I don't know how many people could do that. Again, I'd run away.
He did us proud, no question. He did the whole country proud. And
Yeah.
it's up to the country to step up now, I feel. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Oh, yeah.
November 11th of last year, you were in Sudbury. Can you talk about that experience for us?
That was probably one of the hardest times ever. I always tell people because I had to lay the first wreath in front of thousands of people. But the wonderful thing is they gave me a standing ovation, and that's never happened. It was actually wonderful because when we turned around and I saw everybody, and I just kissed the crowd to say thank you, because that was truly honorable for Andrew. And it was almost like he was saying, you stand up for my mummy. You stand for her, because that was hard. Like I said, not a normal civilian mom. You can't do, it's too hard. You can't just plop just any mom to do this job. You can't. Because you have to be very, very patient.
You call it a job. Is it a role you take on?
Yeah.
Do you feel the weight on your shoulders?
Oh, yeah.
The responsibility?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel sorry for the people that were in front and behind in that convoy. Mm-hmm. I feel so sorry for them because they watched it happen. I didn't have that privilege, and I'm glad I didn't. Like, you're allowed to look, see the autopsy and stuff like that. I didn't want that. So
did your husband look at that? Was that helpful for him?
I was surprised. He saw all the other stuff. He wanted to see the report, how many people, and I wanted to know what number he was in. And he was third in the convoy. They always pick the third vehicle for some reason, or weird. Well, they know what they're doing. But the one boy, Bleach, his friend Bleach, he's not the same anymore. None of, you like Brent, I watched these kids on May 15th get on these 3 buses, these big buses they have. Watch these boys go, and when they came back, it's World War II in 2010 and 11. It's your face, you age. Like, I know I aged like considerably. My face is not the same. I'm not the same person anymore.
How have you changed?
Harder. Very hard. Hard, and I don't say too much unless somebody's really got to me, or where I used to get irritated before, I just kind of, whatever. But the most wonderful thing about the whole thing is I'm not afraid to die anymore.
When you say that, is that because you're looking forward to seeing Andrew?
Yeah.
I see.
He'll be the first. He always showed me everything. Like, he'd go somewhere and then he'd be like, hey, I'll take you, Mom. Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart, the actor, for folks that are unaware, Jimmy Stewart's son died in Vietnam. And throughout his whole life after that, he used to say, I'm not afraid of dying. The same thing you've just said. And he said, because then I'll be reunited with my son.
I can't wait. I mean, I can wait. But
No, I understand completely what you're saying. Absolutely. Is there anything you would like to say or cover that we haven't covered already? What I want to do is get through to the Canadian people, everybody who's watching right now and listening on the radio from coast to coast to coast, your sacrifice and how we should step up to the plate and merit your sacrifice, as well as Andrew's and everybody else who has been over there and have fallen.
stop saying that we shouldn't be there, first of all. I think the families of the fallen, because there's only 155, it's such a small little number, they need to be recognized more. I think we need to, again, in Sudbury, you have to petition, put their names on the wall for the veterans. I shouldn't have to do that. That's disgusting. They don't name enough things after them. Yeah, they plant trees, that's great, trees are fun. But they're not more awareness. I want to speak to children, I want to speak to other families, I want all the other moms and anybody, every time I hear a mom and they hear me, it helps us, because, this is a murder. Your kids were murdered by people that don't know you. They're taken from you and you don't ever see them again. And, my husband was like, I can't believe that you said that, like murder, but he was murdered. That's a calculated kill. That was and Michelle, the survivor, we've just emailed back and forth. she's never going to be the same ever again. You know, Andrew and her were very close. But my letter to her was, what's for you? It must be huge. Why are you still here? She should have been dead. You know, Crystal died, Andrew died. And, you know, it was his time. But, geez, people, like, you know, when I wear my cross, people go, that's a really nice brooch. And I just want to take their face and mash it into the counter. It's not a brooch. It's a silver cross, and it's given to you by Queen Elizabeth. It says Elizabeth Regina on it. So I take it off. I give it to people to show them, and they are just so touched. But there's no media coverage for these boys and these women that are killed or coming back wounded. There's nothing. There's nothing. Oh, Canada for sure. Oh, Canada. There's not enough recognition for these people. There's, you know, and that's why I was so happy you wanted to talk to me, because I grasp and I want to shout to people about Andrew, what he did. People don't understand. I think they thought he was in a hospital, including my boss. I'm like, no, Andrew's not in a hospital. Andrew's out in the middle of hell is where Andrew was, because that's what it looks like. I got to see 30,000 of our best, world's best when I was there. It didn't give me closure. They changed that in the whole program. They said they'll never say that again. They listened to us mums, but just talk to a soldier or a mum or somebody, you know. We just want our kids' names to not fade away. World War II veterans don't. Why do these boys? This is 2010, 2011. We only lost 155. Why aren't people doing anything about it?
What do you say to folks who just decry that we're over there for colonialism or empire building and all the rest of the crap?
They usually don't know anybody in the military. They don't, and I feel sorry for them. I pity them. They're allowed to have their opinion. That's why we're free. But I pity them because they don't know the honor. My son was honorably killed. One of the head Afghan gentlemen gave me a plaque and a flag. And Andrew's the only actually soldier in the cemetery with the Afghan flag next to the Canadian flag. We asked the ambassador of Afghanistan for a flag because Andrew died for his country as well. And he was so honored to give that to us. The Afghan gentleman was speaking to us in his language, and they honor the dead hero. He saved our people. They glorify it. They put it up on a pedestal. You know, if we could have a highway of heroes all the time for our dead, for our fallen, that was the time when it was patriotic people were there. You know, I need to have more of that.
We're broadcasting out of Kingston right now. As you know, we moved in December from Sudbury to Kingston. Big base here, CFB Kingston. A lot of folks watching on television right now, listening on the radio, are probably about to deploy overseas to Afghanistan, or perhaps they have loved ones over there. Do you have a special message for those folks?
Yes, so proud of you, and I'm so glad you're going, and I'm so glad you're protecting us. If you need help, just call my son's name. You have had soldiers over there that are his friends say that they feel Andrew there with them, and you email me. You know, I'm on Facebook at Private Andrew Miller's. Andrew Miller has his Facebook open. You need to send those people packages, cousins, directly, not to the certain. You have to send them directly to the soldiers that are far out. You know, because they want some familiarity from us when they're there, because it's beige.
A connection.
Yeah, it's, you know, they need support. They need us to go when they're getting on those buses to go over there and to be there. Not just the families. Like, we, the people, should be going there and sending them off. Like, they don't even know. No one knew May 15th last year my son was going to Trenton to go to Afghanistan. No one knew, you know. But we just need more participation like that. Proud of them that are going still. Keep going. We want it to be a tourist attraction eventually.
You're a very brave woman. Any specific message for the family of the folks that are being sent overseas?
It's hard. It's so hard. And don't say it's not hard. It's hard. And you don't get used to it. It's a worry, a constant worry, but you know what? It's what you signed up for with your child or your husband or your wife or whomever's going. And the worst thing that you can do is not support them. The best thing you can do is say, I love you and I'm proud of you. Thank you so much, because they love that. And talk to them about normal things like the price of chicken, and when they call you, if they call you, if they can call you, talk about stuff like that. They love that. They want to know what's going on in our world, and tell them you're proud of them. I mean, I know if Andrew would have come back, but again, he would have went again. He would have extended himself. Like that's just who Andrew was. He's wonderful like that, but you know.
And a final message for the people of Canada?
Final message, to support our troops, support the parents that are, and especially the moms of the fallen. If you see a Silver Cross mother, give her a hug first. Give her a hug. She needs it. You know, ask about who they lost. Don't be afraid. We love talking about our kids. Every mom I've talked to, that I went on my next to kin visit with, and they know who they are, love talking about their boys.
We're going to wrap up, Wendy. I'm Brent Holland. For more information and connections to Wendy and things of that source. Also, I want to mention the Military Families Fund. There's a link on the website, www.brenthollandshow. There's a link in the upper right-hand corner for you. Just click on that, and that'll take you right to a place where you can donate some money to the Military Families Fund. Worthwhile cause. Wendy, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and your courage to come on this show and bare your soul and let people know that freedom does come at a cost. We are so lucky. Like I started off the show and I said, you know, folks, my biggest decision today was whether to have a large coffee or a small coffee. Whoop-de-doo. And that's only for one reason, the sacrifice of our military families and our military soldiers. They give us that freedom to enjoy every day, every second. Think of them often, put them in your prayers at night. Thank you so much, my friend. God bless you.
Thank you.
Anytime another falls, we will gather here in any kind of weather, any time of year, watching for the headlights down the 401. Respect and dedication for our bravest ones. Hearts filled with sorrow and with pride as the fallen pass below on the final ride. Along the highway of heroes we stand, here to show a gratitude from right across the land. Standing on the bridges faithfully, because you keep our true north strong and free. Soccer moms, firefighters, Legion members too, school kids and teachers, folks like me and you, standing at attention with the maple leaf held high, a grassroots benediction for the ones who died. You're all our daughters, all our sons, make us proud Canadians. Along the highway of heroes we stand, in a show of gratitude from right across the land. Standing on the bridges faithfully, because you keep our true north strong and free. This land, up here on the bridges we will be, because you keep our true north strong and free. Now it's our turn to stand, it's our turn to stand, it's our turn to stand on guard for thee.